Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Backshot Boxing. Nah, man, wild stuff, man. From MMA to boxing, the craziest stuff that happened in recent years was Conor McGregor versus Floyd Money Mayweather. But with the downfall of Conor McGregor and the new rising star that became the Khabib Nurmagomedov, he beat Conor McGregor and he stopped Conor McGregor. That being said, he was that new guy and he called out Floyd Money Mayweather, and he had some choice words to say about Mayweather. Now, it's funny that he called him out, and then they offered him $100 million, and then Khabib, he started backtracking and said, and I quote, "I turned down your $100 million not to be like you," and he was basically referencing that, Floyd has a money persona, all about the bag. That he really doesn't have a personality. It's all about the money. That's all he is. That's all he's known for. And it's just wild to me that, Khabib, I'm just gonna call him Khabib because I'm not gonna keep saying his last name. It will say something like that because, Floyd Money Mayweather's already retired, and he started fighting these quote unquote money fights after, he retired, i.e. the 49-0, and he fought Conor McGregor at 50-0. So that's when he became, that's when he started fighting really for money. Floyd Money Mayweather was actually not called money until he actually beat Oscar de la Hoya. Now, that being said, man, Oscar de la Hoya, was a pay-per-view superstar at the time. And that being said, Floyd became the pay-per-view superstar at the time, and he was called the cash cow, the money, all about the bag. So that's why he called himself Money Mayweather. But, if you actually look at Floyd Mayweather's career after Oscar de la Hoya, when he called himself Money, he was following mostly Hall of Fame fighters or fighters coming off their biggest wins of their career, right? After Oscar de la Hoya, he beat Ricky Hatton, a Hall of Fame fighter, Juan Roman Marquez, a Hall of Fame fighter, Shane Mosley, after the biggest win of his career when he knocked out Antonio Margarito, and he's a Hall of Fame fighter, Victor Ortiz, after he beat undefeated Andre Berto, Miguel Cotto, after he revenged his win against Margarito, right? Robert Guerrero, after he beat Andre Berto, and then Canelo Alvarez when he was undefeated at the time, and then Marcos Maidana when he beat AB when he was undefeated. So, I mean, if you actually look at, and then he beat Manny Pacquiao, the 8 division world champion, Hall of Fame fighter for sure. So, if you actually look at Floyd's career, he was calling himself Money for a very, very long time. And like I said, it was after the Oscar de la Hoya win. So, the idea that he's all about the money, yeah, but he's actually fighting these top guys. There's a lot of lies out there that he's cherry picking, but all the guys I named are Hall of Fame fighters or fighters coming off their biggest win in their career. That was career-defining wins, and they never really went up from there. Before they fought Floyd, the win they had was the biggest win of their career, and they never went up from there. So that was at the peak of their career. So the idea that, Floyd was cherry picking or anything like that, it's a bad faith argument. It's not true. I just went down a list for you guys, and you guys can check it out on Wikipedia or BoxRec, whatever you guys want to do, right? But yeah, that being said, man, it's wild to me how Floyd Money Mayweather, he has to fight for honor and fight for all these things, but no one says to Jeff Bezos that you made enough money and you need to stop making so much money as you do. You need to chill out on the money making thing. You're all about the bag. You need to be about something else. No one says that to people like that, but to Floyd Money Mayweather, he has to be. He can't make money. It's weird. It's just like a weird dynamic going on where certain fighters, African American fighters, can't be boisterous, can't be bold and be proud about who they are and how and what they accomplished. And if Floyd is, we already know he's the best boxer. Now he's telling people I got the bag too. Because there's a lot of fighters out there who are the best fighters, but they're not getting paid like they're supposed to, right? Like Vasyl Lomachenko, great fighter, but Bob Arum is constantly underpaying him to the point where Vasyl Lomachenko, not only is he getting underpaid, but his opponents are getting underpaid too, and Vasyl Lomachenko is giving parts of his own check to other fighters, right? Vasyl Lomachenko gave money to Teofimo Lopez because he wasn't getting paid enough. He actually had to split some of his earnings to give to Teofimo Lopez to make the fight happen. Things like that. So when he called himself Money, it's because there's a lot of sketchy business in boxing, and people don't talk about the sketchy side of boxing, but there's a lot of sketchiness in boxing that has it such that these fighters are getting paid peanuts. And if you're from the UFC, man, you should really, you know, you should know about getting paid peanuts, you know. But Khabib, you know, the reason why he retired is because Dana White let one of Khabib's friends go from a promotion, and he basically had to step away from the sport because he didn't like that, and he did it for his mom as well, telling her that he didn't want to fight anymore, right? But that all being said, you know, Khabib, he says he's about the money now. It's wild because I just watched him fight. I just watched him talk to Mike Tyson with hotboxing with Mike Tyson, and now he's a quote unquote entrepreneur. You know, it's just a lot of contradictions happening, and a lot of people say a lot of things about Floyd fighting for a bag. But like I said earlier, I mean, I already talked about, I already broke down Floyd's career, but Pacquiao actually just called out McGregor until he got stopped, you know, throwing a leg kick, and his leg broke against Justin Poirier, right? But Pacquiao even called him out. So there's a lot of people calling Floyd out and saying, you know, you're making a mockery of the sport. But then they're doing the same thing, really. They're copying and pasting Floyd's blueprint, but then they hate it on what Floyd's doing because he did it right? So it's just a lot of contradictions going on. If I were Khabib, you know, he's Russian. I would try to do something like UFC in that country because he's undefeated right now. He has the legacy, you know, and he has the name. So if something were to happen in Russia and it was mixed martial arts, people would be really for it because Russia is seen as just more. The fighting is more brutal. It's the only way I could describe it, right? They say, like, you know, you see Khabib, he's with bears and shit. You know, he's wrestling bears, things like that. It would just seem more brutal if Khabib had his own MMA thing over there in Russia, and it'll definitely pop off because it's just known as more brutal over there. And you'll see motherfuckers in cars with bears and shit, and it's just crazy shit over there in Russia. You know, there's a lot of jokes online that says, you know, in America you squish cockroach, but in Russia cockroach squish you. There's a lot of funny stuff online. People make some real funny jokes, but yeah, man, it's sort of true though, man. People in Russia, you just you know, you Russian roulette where you get one bullet and you spin it and shit, and you fucking, you know, you see who fucking gets their head blown out. That's crazy shit out of Russia. Russia's just known to be that place, man, that brutal, you know, place that if you fight, it's gonna be, you know it's gonna happen. So that being said, man, yeah, Khabib definitely needs to start his own promotion company in Russia. And yeah, man, if he wants to keep the whole principle thing, okay, man, start your own company, man. You know, show us how it's done, champ. Show us how it's done. And I can go into Floyd Mayweather. If you actually look, you can Google it right now. Go Floyd Mayweather paying for funeral. I believe the first guy Floyd fought for a title, he paid for the guy's funeral when he died. You know, there's a lot of stuff that Floyd does, you know, for a community that people don't talk about, right? Gernando Hernandez, when he died, you know, Floyd paid for the funeral. So that, man, it's a lot of stuff that Floyd did, that he does that people don't talk about, right? He also helps kids, like every Thanksgiving, buys some turkeys, you know, donates for, you know, Christmas, some toys. I mean, Floyd does a lot of stuff that people just don't talk about because people are worried about what they see on social media, but people really don't know Floyd Mayweather. I mean, you really think this guy is saying money this, money that every second, every day? No, he's a human being. He has other things going on too, and that's just a persona to sell the fight. If you actually watch Floyd fights, he'll talk a lot of trash, but after the fight, he always thanks the fighter and gives a lot of respect to the fighter after he, you know, styles on him and beats him down pretty bad. You know, after the end of the fight, Floyd always talks about how great the fighter is, because at the end of the day, you can't be trashing the guy you just beat because it diminishes your win. So yeah, man, that being said, man, Floyd, you know, saying that he turned down $100 million to not be like you, Khabib said that. That's ridiculous. Everyone wants to be like Floyd. Everyone wants to be like Floyd. Let me know how you guys feel about it though. Like, comment, subscribe. It's the Empire. Geobox Empire. Peace.